Hey guys, Dr. Ricky Keys here. Normally I'm leaving the gym when I kind of do my little introduction and kind of tell you what I'm doing. But today I'm in Colorado and I just wanted to kind of give you a view of these just absolutely scenic views here in the state of Colorado, but specifically in Denver. But today we're going to talk about deserts, specifically pharmacy deserts in the city of Chicago. This is something that I feel is critically important, and I believe it's something that we need to pay close attention to. If we don't address these deserts, I believe that you're going to see a disparity in, one community versus another.
Hey guys, my name is Dr. Ricky Keys, and I believe in equity of opportunity, not equity of outcome. Eventually, I'm going to explain what that means, but for now, let's talk about this article. I think it's a really important article because I am a public health professional, and what I've realized, what I've come to understand is that there are some underlying conditions that affect a person's ability to be healthy. So what I have seen is that there are specific deserts, or there is a lack of specific resources. And if these resources are lacking in your neighborhood, there is a greater likelihood that you or your neighborhood will be less healthy. So what the Chicago Sun-Times and the city of Chicago in particular has done a very good job of is highlighting this issue of pharmacy deserts. And a pharmacy desert is an area, in an urban area, it's between 2 to 4 miles that does not have adequate access to pharmacies. So I'll get into the article, but there are certain specific factors that I think you should pay attention to. COVID-19 had a significant impact on the outcome, or showing the importance of having pharmacies in a neighborhood, but then also showing how this has an impact on the quality of life, specifically on improving people's health. So again, Chicago Sun-Times, which is the newspaper of record, not only for the city of Chicago, but for the entire state of Illinois, it is a phenomenal newspaper, and they've done a significantly important job of highlighting this issue. So it says, you've heard of food deserts, pharmacy deserts are just as bad. So let me highlight this issue of food deserts. The Obama administration really talked about food deserts and food insecurities because areas that did not have access to fresh fruits and vegetables were areas that saw significantly higher rates of obesity, and the result is a significantly higher percentage of people who had hypertension or diabetes or some form of chronic condition that left them more vulnerable to a bad outcome. This bad outcome was the result of not having access to those things. So what this article does is it says, okay, there are food deserts, but then there are these things that are called pharmacy deserts. And a pharmacy desert is just like a food desert, but it's a lack of access to brick and mortar pharmacies within a specific geographic location or specific miles of a neighborhood. So again, the subtitle of the article is, even as drugstores increasingly provide more vital services, including COVID-19 tests, contraceptive counseling, and wellness visits, communities in the south and west sides have fewer locations than other parts of the city. So again, we can look at this geographically, and we will be able to see that that this is accurate. We could test the hypothesis to see whether pharmacies are indeed located in the south side and the west side. We could test that. I've done research to prove or disprove whether that is the case. So the article is a really nice article. It shows you a padlock. I mean, this is really graphic. It shows a padlock fence with the CVS that's closed, and this is in the south side. It's on Pulaski Road. I'm assuming that this is an area either in the west side or the south side of the city of Chicago. And the article, again, is a really important article. Monica Mitchell has lived in South Shore for 2 decades, and in that time, she has had to change pharmacies 3 times. The 48-year-old registered nurse said when a Walgreens first 5 minutes from her house was closed, she switched to one a few blocks over, but it didn't carry all the items she needed. So she started going to the one in Hyde Park. Then came the murder of George Floyd by a Minneapolis police officer in the summer of 2020, which sparked days of protest, civil unrest, and looting across the city and the nation. In the aftermath, hundreds of businesses in Chicago shut their doors either temporarily or permanently, including many pharmacies. And Mitchell was forced to change drugstores once again, this time for the 3rd time. By then, the closest Walgreens was in the southwest suburb, Evergreen Park, 30 minutes away. Now, it's really important, again, this issue of COVID-19. COVID-19 was not only a condition of the unvaccinated, because no one was vaccinated, but it was a condition of people who had chronic conditions, specifically asthma, hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, all of those chronic conditions. Those were the people that they didn't get COVID at a higher frequency, but what they did is they had worse outcomes from COVID than the people who just were, normally walking around. And again, it was primarily those people who had uncontrolled conditions like hypertension and diabetes and those conditions. What happens if you don't have access to a pharmacy in your neighborhood is that you have to go further, and sometimes you run out of your drug and you become non-compliant, and the result is, in the sense of this COVID situation, you had a worse outcome than people who were compliant with their meds, especially those chronic conditions that had a debilitating impact on people who got COVID rather. So again, these are important. These are important paragraphs, but this is the most important in my mind. While Mitchell now gets most of what she needs via mail order, that convenience is not widely used by those who are more comfortable with brick and mortar stores or lack internet access. This is a major problem. And what we believe is that we need to work on finding solutions to address this issue. Now, again, let's look at whether this article is accurate based on the research that I've done. So this is the city of Chicago, and what I've just basically done here is show where there are large numbers of pharmacies and show the density of those pharmacies in those neighborhoods. So it shows that in the northern part, if you look at this as the mid part, or the urban, the CBD or downtown area of Chicago, most of the pharmacies, if you look at it, are located in the northern part of the city of Chicago. Population density is not as high, so that's not the excuse. The only reason is because of the other factors that I'm going to talk about in a second. But the vast majority of the pharmacies are located in the northern part of the city of Chicago. Again, the article talks about the west side and the south side. You see the density here, and the density is nowhere that heavy on the west side or on the south side of the city of Chicago. The second map shows the density of pharmacies by zip code, specifically for educational level. The darker shaded areas are higher educated, meaning 25 plus with a college degree. The darker shaded areas, again, where there is a deep concentration of density of pharmacies in those areas as compared with the west side and the south side. West side, significantly less educated, and the south side, not as educated, but it's still a smaller density of pharmacies in these zip codes. This next map shows the median income. Again, the darker areas in the northern part of the city having a higher density concentration of pharmacies than the west side and the south side. And this final map, this shows by African American status. I could do Hispanic, but I just decided to do African American. And it's the juxtaposition where there's a deep, higher concentration of African Americans by zip code. You see a smaller density and concentration of pharmacies. And where there is a smaller percentage of African Americans, you see a significantly larger concentration density of pharmacies in these areas. So what these maps show is that the articles are accurate. In areas where there is a higher level of education, there is a higher level of income, and where there are less African Americans, that's where you see the vast majority of these pharmacies. Now, this has a lot to do with the pharmacies, but it also has a lot to do with how government is actually paying for these treatments, specifically the Medicaid market. So the Medicaid market is a market that specifically targets the less income, or people who have a lower income, or who are in poverty. What we're seeing is larger numbers of states not increasing their reimbursement to pharmacies in response to both, the rate of inflation, or just the income, or the rents and the other, employee costs, and the social factors like rates of crime and the need for security guards and things of that sort. So the challenge is, if these Medicaid programs are not keeping in touch with inflation, you're starting to see larger number of pharmacies making business decisions, because they're not here to, just provide the service for free. They're making business decisions to leave those areas and go into areas where they can be properly reimbursed for the services that they provide. This is a challenge. This is something that we must address. I believe that public and private sector organizations must work together to address this and many other issues that we feel are, significant in the city of Chicago and throughout this country, because pharmacy deserts are not just a Chicago phenomenon. It is something that is happening in almost every major urban area in this country. So with that, my name is Dr. Ricky Keys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and share this. I believe that this is important information that must be received, gotten out, distributed, because I believe that this is something that must be addressed. Again, my name is Dr. Ricky Keys. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.